Hello everyone, my name is Capp and welcome back to the channel. Another 7 Days to Die video. I'm doing all this in Alpha 18.2 on the PC just in case they change things up a little ways down the road with future updates, because you know how they like to modify how systems work. And today we're going to be looking at the burning shaft mod that you can put on top of the spears. As you see here, it gives you a nice little fire damage when you hit zombies, provides a little bit of light so that you don't have to carry a torch with you. It's just overall a good mod to put on any of your melee weapons. It's just one that I like having. A viewer suggested this to test it out, and I'm actually kind of curious. We know that you can use them as a light source, but A, how much of a light source does it put off? B, how many of them can you use? And C, does this kind of light source raise the heat map enough to where you could possibly spawn in some screamers? That's what I'm going to test out in this video today. Also, if you have other suggestions of things to test out, in-game mechanics or whatever, always leave those in the video description down below. I'll keep a running list. Always happy to try and get a long list of things to test out in the game because I really enjoy them. So, let's get right to it. First thing we're going to do is to see how many we can possibly use. Now, I gave myself 10. I have 10 with me. I'll have one sticking in the ground right over here too. And I put the burning shaft mod on all of them. They're all identical. They're all level 4. Nothing really different about any of them there. I'm going to go into God mode just because it helps with energy consumption here. But so we do just throw that one there. Alright, so we got 10 of them up there. Let me see, I don't have my headlamp on at all right now. You can see, just as is, it puts off a decent amount of light, and at least there's a minimum of 10 spears that you can throw here. I'm curious as to how many you can have in the game before it starts despawning them. I tested up to 15, none of them despawned, and I let them just kind of sit here for a while. Now, I'm curious whether if you leave the game and back out and come back, whether or not they'll despawn, I don't know, but I just kind of, when I was testing it earlier, I let the game run for a little bit, and just sitting here, none of them despawned at all. So one of the questions that I have that I know is going to be asked is, well, how much light do they put off compared to something like a torch? Now, we've done tests in the past to see different things that bring up different heat map levels. We know the torch, the candles, fire barrels, stuff like that raise the heat map up quite a lot. We understand that, and lanterns do not, but lanterns are a little bit harder to get. You have to craft them. You can't really just find them. So what we're going to do to start with is I'm going to just put down one single torch here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it dark outside. Just nice and dark like this, so that we can kind of see a little bit better what's going on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the lights command, so you can kind of see a good little radius from where this torch is sitting to how much light there is. So, kind of gives you a decent amount of space here. This green circle is exactly how much of a radius of light you get from one torch. Now what I want to do is I want to try and throw a spear right next to it and pick up the torch, and we can kind of see here. Alright, much smaller radius. You can see the radius from the torch that was left over there. The light dissipates a little bit over time, but you can see the torch, or the spear, doesn't put off as much light as the torches, obviously, because it's not supposed to be used as a primary light source, but it does do a decent job of putting off some light anyway. So if you were going to try and light up your entire base with it, we can give that a try real quick. You can see that just by using the flaming mods on the spears that it does a decent job of lighting it up. Now, the darker it gets, of course, Blood Moon Hordes aren't going to show off as much light, but this isn't that complicated to do this. Spears are really easy to make. You can make wooden spears in the first 10 minutes that you play the game. Now, finding the burning shaft mods, of course, that's going to take a little bit longer to get to the point where you can either make them yourselves, find them by looting them, or buying them from the trader. So it may be a little bit harder resource intense wise than trying to, use torches or candles or something that you can readily find. But you can see it puts off a decent amount of light. I got 10 spears up here with the burning shaft mod on there, and it's lighting it up just fine. See, there's with my headlamp on, there's with it off. That actually looks kind of cool. I'm kind of okay with that. So now what I want to do is I'm going to open up the command here, whatever, to see the heat map. Right at the moment, you can see from where it's at with the heat map event, there's been one. I think it's probably me jumping or punching a wall or something. It's at 0.5%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it just kind of sit here for a while. I'm going to stand right in the middle of where all these torches are, where all these spears are that are lit up here. And I'm just going to let this number run. And I'll blow up on the screen so you can see it. We're going to let it run just for a little while to see if it goes up at all. So we'll be back in just a little bit to see if there's any change at all. Alright then, so I made it all the way through the night, didn't move, didn't do anything, just let it sit right here. You can see all the spears are still right where I left them, none of them despawned. It lit up throughout the whole night, and the heat map is sitting at 0. So the 0.5 that was even there for me dorking around earlier even disappeared. So I would say conclusively using the burning shaft mods on your spears to light up your base is a valid way to do it. Again, a bit resource intensive, of course, the amount of crap you would have to do to use this as a source. It lights up pretty good, doesn't raise the heat map at all. So what I did now is, because I have 10 over here and they've been sitting here all day, so I made 10 more exactly like them. Level 4 spears, burning shaft mod on all of them, and I'm going to stick all of these inside the base over in the front here too, and then I'm going to let it sit here for a little bit longer just to make sure that none of them despawn, because I know that's going to be one of the things people want to, as a question or whatever, like, well, if I decide to just light up my entire area with these spears and I come back home later on, are they going to be gone? Now I'm also going to not only just light up the area and then leave them here, but I'm going to try 2 different things. I'm going to try and go like to a long ways away so this whole area can unload in the chunk and come back and see if they're still here, and then I'm going to try and unload the game entirely, close it out, load it back up, see if these spears are here too, so we can see if it really would work as a valid tactic for lighting up your base or not. So we have 20 spears over here. All of them still in the same spot they were originally in. None of them have despawned. Everything is right where we left it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to head east, because we're over here at the booby trap. And what we're going to do is we're just going to teleport way over here. And then we're going to keep on flying for a little bit. We're going to let the clock run for just a little bit so it has a chance to kind of fully unload that entire chunk. Make sure that we're a good long ways away from that heat chunk so that we're not affecting it at all. And then we'll give it a bit and we're going to go back and see if all of those spears are still there and see if perchance the heat map went up at all. So we'll be back in just a bit. Alright, I waited a good 3 in-game hours sitting over there not doing anything before I teleported back over here, and we're going to walk up here and see if any of these torches are still here. And right at the moment, it doesn't appear as they are. So while it does seem like it's a good valid tactic for lighting up your base and not having to worry about whether or not it's going to attract screamers or drawing any kind of hordes and stuff by raising the heat map too much, if you wander outside of the chunk to where it unloads it from memory, it's going to remove them entirely, and then everything you had is gone. You can see I don't have them in my inventory anymore. They are up and out of here. So I'm not even going to bother testing whether or not it would work if I unloaded the game, because if I can't travel just a few chunks that direction and come back and the torches still be here or the spears still be here, then they're definitely not going to be here if I completely close the game out. So while it's a good idea, unless you plan on just kind of lighting up the base while you're working there that night or something and then picking them back up and storing them in a chest until the next night, I don't really see it as a good idea, but I don't know. I guess it kind of just depends. What do you think you guys could do with it that would be a little bit more efficient? Obviously, traveling too far away is going to make them disappear. But anyway, I think that was a pretty cool idea. So for the person that suggested trying this out, thank you. That was really kind of cool. I'm glad I tested that. I was kind of curious about that myself. Of course, other testing ideas you guys have of game mechanics and stuff like that, heat map ideas, definitely leave those in the comments section down below and I'll add those to the list. And we'll just kind of keep this series going. Something I've kind of been known for a long time is my testing and tutorials. Definitely want to get back into that. So if you enjoyed the video, found it useful, or you learned anything, do me a favor and leave a like on it down below. If you're new to the channel and you're not already, maybe consider subscribing so you don't miss out on future videos. And of course, if you click the little bell icon, you get notified when videos go live. Thank you so much for all your support. You guys are awesome. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later.